The Garden of Dark Clouds, a Zen tale about controlling negative thoughts. In the misty mountains of the east, where cherry blossoms bloom even in winter, there stood an ancient monastery known for guarding a millennia-old secret, the art of taming the storms that dwell in the human mind. This is not a story about perfection, but about the journey. It does not speak of eliminating darkness, but of learning to dance with it. Through the seasons of a year and the lessons of a Zen master, you will discover that negative thoughts are like passing clouds. They may darken the sky, but they are never the sky itself. Join Kenji, a young blacksmith tormented by anger and self-criticism, as he learns that peace is not forged with hammers, but with the gentle yet constant attention of the present. May the story be a lantern on your own path to serenity. Chapter 1. The Blacksmith of Heavy Thoughts. Kenji struck the anvil with a fury disproportionate to the work he was doing. Each hammer blow echoed like a stifled scream. He was the best blacksmith in his village, yet also the most unhappy. "I should have finished this yesterday," he scolded himself while forging a simple gate. "I'm useless. Master Tanaka would have done it in half the time." The villagers admired his swords and tools, but Kenji only saw flaws. A slightly uneven curve, an uneven shine. His thoughts were hammers pounding his own soul day after day. One autumn afternoon, while hammering glowing metal, his mind wandered to memories of a quarrel with his brother from years ago. The hammer slipped, striking his hand. The pain jolted him out of his thought trance, but the damage was done. With his hand bandaged, he could not work for weeks. The forced stillness was worse than any physical wound. Without the noise of the hammer to drown his thoughts, they became deafening. His wife, Yuki, watched with concern as Kenji paced back and forth, unable to rest, murmuring reproaches to himself. One night, she suggested, "There's a monk in the mountain monastery. They say he helps people with inner storms." Kenji scoffed. "A monk? What could a monk know about my problems?" But that night, when insomnia overtook him once more, he decided that anything was better than this constant war with himself. At dawn, he began the climb to the Monastery of Clouds. Chapter 2. The Master of the Garden. The monastery was not as Kenji had imagined. There were no grand golden statues or elaborate ceremonies. Only a simple garden, surrounded by weathered wooden buildings. In the center of the garden, an elderly man raked sand around stones arranged with apparent carelessness. He wore a patched gray robe, and his white hair was tied in a messy bun. This was Master Hakuin. I need help with my thoughts," Kenji said abruptly, feeling ridiculous speaking aloud. Hakuin continued raking without looking at him. "Your thoughts, or the thoughts? Is there a difference?" Kenji asked, already irritated. "All the difference in the world," replied the master. "Sit here and observe the clouds." Kenji looked up at the sky. Dark clouds drifted slowly, threatening rain. "And what am I supposed to see? Are you the clouds?" asked Hakuin. "Of course not." "Then why do you think you are your thoughts?" The question fell over Kenji like cold water. He wanted to reply, but found no words. The master smiled softly and continued raking. "Return tomorrow at dawn. Bring an empty bowl." Kenji descended the mountain confused, yet something inside him had shifted. For the first time in years, he observed his thoughts as if they were clouds passing through the sky of his mind, instead of storms defining him. Chapter 3. The Bowl of Thoughts. The next day, Kenji arrived with a ceramic bowl he had made years before. It had a small crack along the rim. Master Hakuin led him to a tranquil pond near the garden. "Fill the bowl with water and hold it in front of you without spilling a drop. Remain so until I return." It seemed simple. Kenji filled the bowl and held it. The first few minutes were easy. Then his arms began to tire. This is absurd, he thought. Child's play. As time passed, his arms shook. Small drops fell. I'm too weak. I can't even hold a bowl of water. How pathetic. Each negative thought made his muscles tense more, spilling more water. Then he realized something extraordinary. It was not the weight of the water that made the exercise difficult, but the weight of his thoughts on the water. When he tried holding the bowl without judgment, without anticipating failure, his arms steadied. The water calmed. Master Hakuin returned at sunset. The bowl was half empty, but Kenji was at peace. Thoughts are like this water, said Hakuin. They weigh nothing on their own. They only weigh when you cling to them with tension. Let them flow, let them spill if they must. There will always be more water in the pond. Kenji looked at the bowl, then at the endless pond. A tear rolled down his cheek, but it was not of sadness. Chapter 4, The Winter Storm. Weeks passed. Kenji visited the master daily, learning to observe his thoughts without judgment. He began to feel a peace he had never known. Then winter arrived, and with it a letter. His older brother had died suddenly. Words left unsaid. Apologies never expressed. Reconciliation always postponed for someday became impossible forever. Guilt fell on Kenji like an avalanche. I should have visited him. I should have forgiven. I was a bad brother. It's my fault he died thinking I hated him. For days he could neither eat nor sleep. He returned to the monastery like a castaway seeking firm ground. I have failed, he told Hakuin. All these days learning, and at the first real problem I am worse than before. Thoughts are devouring me. The master took him to the garden, now covered in snow. Do you see this garden? In spring it is full of flowers. Now it is covered in snow. Has it ceased to be a garden? No, but your thoughts are a winter storm, Kenji. Severe, yes. Painful, no doubt. But you are not the storm. You are the garden beneath the snow. Seasons change, so too will the pain. Then I should just wait for it to pass? Kenji asked bitterly. No, you must allow the snow to fall without resisting it. Observe the storm without pretending it is summer. Cry for your loss without turning your pain into a prison. That night, for the first time since the news, Kenji cried fully. He did not try to stop thoughts of guilt, but neither did he feed them. He let them pass like snowflakes falling into a river. Chapter 5, The Mirror of the Pond. Over the months, Kenji noticed something curious. He could sense when a wave of negative thoughts was coming. He felt tension in his chest, shallow breathing, a slight dizziness. Thoughts have roots in the body, Hakuin explained one morning. Learn to read the signs, and you can prepare for the storm. The master taught him to sit by the pond each morning and observe his reflection. When the water is disturbed, you cannot see clearly. When your mind is disturbed, neither can you. Calm the water first. Kenji learned breathing techniques. He inhaled counting to 4, held the air, exhaled slowly. It seemed ridiculously simple, but it worked. When dark thoughts approached, he breathed deeply and observed them like clouds on the horizon, without fear. One day, a samurai came to the monastery demanding to see the master. He came to challenge him for allegedly dishonoring his clan with teachings on detachment. Kenji watched, fascinated, as Hakuin remained serene in the face of the warrior's threats and insults. He neither defended himself nor apologized. He simply observed with compassion. Finally, the samurai, exhausted by his own rage, collapsed in tears. How can you be at peace when I wanted to harm you? Your words crossed the air between us, Hakuin replied. But they only become arrows if I choose to catch them. I let them pass. Kenji understood. He could not control which thoughts arose, but he could choose which to catch and hold. Chapter 6. The Inner Forge. Spring arrived, and with it, healing for Kenji's hand. It was time to return to the forge. He was afraid. What if I return and everything comes back? What if the sound of the anvil awakens the hammers in my mind again? Hakuin gave him a small bell. When negative thoughts pull you under, ring this bell. Let its sound remind you. This moment, here, now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Only this hammer, this breath, this instant. Kenji returned to his workshop with uncertainty. The first piece he worked on was a simple nail. He did it slowly, mindfully. When the thought arose, this is too simple for my skill, he rang the bell. The sound brought him back to the present. Hammer, breath, metal, fire. He discovered the forge could be a meditation. Each strike a practice of presence. His work did not improve because he was more skilled, but because he was fully present in each movement. A customer complained a sword had a small flaw. Old Kenji would have stayed awake all night tormenting himself. New Kenji simply said, "You're right. I can fix it or make a new one at no cost." The customer was so surprised by the calm acceptance that he said, "No, it's not necessary. It's barely noticeable. I just wanted to mention it." Kenji smiled. He had learned that destructive self-criticism did not improve his work. It only made him miserable. Constructive criticism, accepted without drama, was all he needed. Chapter 7. His Own Garden. A year after his first visit to the monastery, Kenji began creating his own Zen garden behind his house. It was not as elaborate as Hakuin's, just a small space with sand, 3 stones, and a young tree. Each morning, before work, he raked patterns in the sand. This simple act became his anchor. When turbulent thoughts came, he knew he would have this moment of peace at the next dawn. Yuki noticed the profound change in her husband. "It's as if you've returned from a distant land," she said one night. "It is," Kenji replied. "I was lost in a country called my thoughts. Now I live here, in this moment with you. Yet not everything was perfect. Some days negative thoughts were still overwhelming. The difference was that Kenji now recognized them quickly and had tools to work with them. One day, an apprentice came asking to learn blacksmithing. He was young, impatient, and highly self-critical. Kenji saw his own reflection from a year ago. He taught him not only to forge metal but to forge a calm mind. "The strongest iron," he said, "is the one that has been heated and cooled many times. Your mind is the same. Difficult thoughts do not weaken you if you learn to work with them." Teaching deepened Kenji's own understanding. The lessons he shared with his apprentice were daily reminders for himself. Chapter 8. The Ever-Present Sky. 5 years passed. Master Hakuin became gravely ill. Kenji climbed the mountain to visit him one last time. The elderly master lay on his mat, weak but with bright eyes. "Have you found control over your thoughts?" he asked with a mischievous smile. Kenji reflected. "I've learned that control was the wrong word. I do not control my thoughts like a tamer controls a tiger. Rather, I observe them as one observes clouds. Some are dark, others bright. All pass." Hakuin nodded, satisfied. "The blacksmith has finally understood. Tell me, do negative thoughts still arise?" "Yes, master, but now they are like old acquaintances visiting. I recognize them, offer them tea, and then they leave. They no longer live in my house." "Perfect," whispered Hakuin. "Always remember, you are not the stormy sky nor the clear sky. You are the space in which both exist. Clouds may darken the sky, but the sky is always there, vast and unshakable." These were the last words Kenji heard from his master. Years later, the the monastery invited Kenji to succeed Hakuin as master. He declined. "My monastery is my forge. My practice is each hammer, each breath. But I will come to help when needed." And so he did. The blacksmith, once enslaved by his thoughts, became a beacon for others struggling with their own inner storms. In his garden, now mature and beautiful, the tree he had planted grew strong. Its deep roots, invisible beneath the earth, were like Kenji's daily practice. Silent, constant, unwavering. And at night, when he gazed at the sky, he no longer feared the dark clouds. He knew that behind them, the sky always remained clear and infinite. Epilogue. True control over negative thoughts does not lie in eliminating or suppressing them, but in transforming our relationship with them. As Kenji learned, we are the sky, not the clouds. This ancient Zen wisdom reminds us that mental peace is not the absence of difficult thoughts, but the presence of awareness. Each breath is an opportunity to return to the present moment. Each challenge is an invitation to practice. May this story accompany you on your own journey to serenity, reminding you that no matter how dark the clouds may be, the sky within you always remains intact, vast, and infinite. The end.